والسماء ذات البروج واليوم الموعود وشاهد ومشهود قتل أصحاب الأخدود النار ذات الوقود إذ هم عليها قعود وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين شهود. So there was a king in Yemen, and the king had his own particular faith. Some say it was Judaism, but irrespective, he believed in whatever he believed. Around that time, there was a pious man, a very righteous man. You know, if you like in our language today, one of the friends of Allah Rabbul Izzah, of Christian faith, because that was the religion before us. And he was someone that Allah used to accept his dua. But he used to be a builder, he was a bricklayer. So he used to make mud bricks and lay it. And he used to spend the nights in worship, and especially the Sunday in worship, the day off. And if he saw someone in need, he would help. But if you called him, listen, there's a sick person, come see him, he wouldn't go. Why? Because he didn't want to be, noted. And as soon as someone discovered that, his dua gets accepted, this, that, and that, he used to leave that village and go to another one. He didn't want to attract people's attention. He wanted to have a secret relationship between him and the Lord. And he was fine. So when he got discovered in one city and the other city, eventually he decided, khalas, I'm going to leave this place. Traveled and towards Yemen, and there he got into a caravan. They tied him up, they sold him as a slave to in Yemen. So there he used to do his bricklaying and this and that. And in Yemen, the king was there. This king, with the faith, whether it's Judaism or whatever, that was his faith. And part of this system of this government was that there was magicians, and the magician used to make sure that the reign, the rule of the king survives. You know how people are affected by these things. So the king wanted, to have his awe established over the khalq. So the magician used to do bits and pieces for him, bring information, do little wonders, and people used to think the king is wow. So the people were nice and humble and obedient to the king. Now this magician was reaching old age and dying. So he came to the king, and this narration is in Sunan Imam Ahmad. And it is mentioned in the tafsir of Surah Al-Buruj. So Imam Ahmad, this magician came to the king and said, listen, O king, I've reached old age, I will die. Find a young lad who is intelligent, who can learn from me, so that your reign can continue. So the king found a young man, intelligent. His name is Abdullah. This is not any Adab, this is a new Abdullah. So Abdullah was on his way to the magician. This pious man's tent was between the house of Abdullah and the house of the magician, or the place of the magician. So as he's walking past the tent, he, curiosity got the better of him. He had a look. He got attracted to what the, righteous monk is doing, and stayed with him, kind of got affected by him. And then he goes, oh no, late, gotta go to the magician. Went there, the magician scolded him, why are you late? So, in the olden days, teachers used to whack you as well. So he probably got a few sticks, and then came back home. The mom and dad said, why are you late? So they probably gave him some as well. So the poor kid, got a double dose that day. So next day he came to the rahib, and he go to this priest, and he goes, listen, bad day yesterday, that one hit me and that one hit me. So the monk tells him, he goes, listen, tell the magician your parents delayed you, tell your parents the magician delayed you. Whatever time you get from there, just spend with me and learn. So he would do that. The young boy would do that. And subhanAllah, it's an amazing situation, because inside the mind of this man, of this young lad, two arts, or two opposing powers are fighting. So one is the power of truth, and one is the demon. One is the path to Allah Rabbul Izzah, and the other one is the magic of the shaitan. So and both he's studying both. And slowly one day, as his knowledge and taqwa and iman grows, a beast is running loose in the city. A dabba, the verse of the wording of the hadith, and people are all perturbed because when a beast runs wild, whether it's an elephant or whatever, it's a mess. So this young man picked up a rock and he did a little intention. He goes, Ya Rab, if the rahib is right, if this priest is right and the magician is wrong, I'm going to chuck this rock, kill this thing with it, the beast. So he threw the rock and this big beast died because of a little rock. Beasts don't die because of rocks, but he died. So khalas, there was confirmation to him that the priest is right, that this monk is right, and magic is wrong. So he came back to his teacher, to the monk, and he said, this is what I did. So the monk goes, oh. He realized that he's reached a place in iman where now it's inevitable Allah will test him. Difficulties will come. So he said, listen, son, you have reached a place where tests will be unleashed now. But when it comes, don't mention my name. When the trouble starts, don't mention my name. So this young man, Allah Rabbul Izzah gave him the purity and people who were affected with sicknesses and this would, if he saw them, he'd make dua and Allah would cure the person. So slowly, and he would tell them, listen, shifa is not from me, shifa is from Allah. I'm asking Allah, believe in Allah, Allah can cure you. So the person would believe, this man would make dua. And pretty soon they say a lot of the people who were sick otherwise in the city became cured and became believers. And word starts to spread across the city, so everyone starts to hear, mashallah, this young man, his dua is accepted and he does this and does that. And one of the narrations with regards to this is the king had a wazir. Wazir had gone blind. So the wazir, he's sitting in front of the king blind, so the king obviously notices the man's blind. And then the wazir is obviously looking for some way to get cured, and eventually he hears of this young lad. The young goes to him, finds him, says, son, listen, can you do something to my? He goes, I can't do anything, Allah does. If you believe in him, I can make dua for him to cure you. It's up to him to cure. So he goes, listen, I'm happy. So the young boy made dua, Allah returned his eyesight. So next day he comes to the king and his eyes are open, it's all working. So the king goes, what happened? So he goes, my Lord cured me. So the king goes, me? Because, I am Lord. I am Rabb. He goes, me? He goes, no, my Lord and your Lord. Like, Allah. So upon this, investigation, he found that this man has found another faith and it's not upon my religion. So he punished the wazir until he gave him the name of the lad, brought the boy, punished the boy until he gave the name of the priest. So he brought the priest, listen, retract your faith and everything is fine. And how can you retract faith? You've drank water from a clean source, how can you accept sewage after that? This is it. So they say, the hadith says they put a saw, those big saws, I imagine, the ones that you cut the tree trunks with in the olden days, one man pulls that one, on his head, and they cut the priest down the middle.